today's webinar. The near, let alone distant future of the global meetings industry has become highly unpredictable. Despite the uncertainty, our agency sees the situation as an opportunity to turn marketing and sales upside down. This is the time to rethink everything and implement new communication technology and sales solutions. We have condensed our experience and the results of extensive market research into a useful guide with marketing strategies that will help you overcome and exit the coronavirus crisis. We are proud and happy to share the guide with you. Today's webinar is hosted by Russian Convention Bureau, and it's my honor to present our results to a wider Russian audience. The title of the webinar is Marketing Strategies for Overcoming the Coronavirus Crisis. It will last approximately 45-50 minutes, and at the end, you will have opportunity to also ask some questions. Through the webinar, you will gain new ideas in the field of online sales, digital communication, content marketing, database management, social media, and more. So let's get this webinar on the road, and I will just open now the presentation. So, marketing strategies for overcoming the coronavirus crisis. This is the time, as I said before, to rethink everything and implement new communication technology or sales solution. And during this time, we are surrounded by buzzwords, like in these challenging times, stay safe, now is the time, how COVID is changing, social distancing, free webinar, online versus offline. So they tell us a lot about the challenges and dilemmas of the meetings industry, as well as marketing strategies for overcoming them. If I wrap up everything, what is going on with these buzzwords is that if you are agile and if you are able to move quickly and easily, then of course you can move through this crisis much easier than if you are not so agile. So the new normal momentum for myself is that I'm thinking nonstop, what direction should I take and why? What skills do I need to succeed? And what marketing tools should I use in future? And it's quite interesting, and I will use this quote from Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. He said, "We've seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in just 2 months." This goes well also with the meetings industry, and I totally agree with him. So we decided in Toleranca Marketing that we will do a lot of research, and all these results were published on Congress Magazine website and shared with the international public. In first research, we concentrated on how concerned are meeting planners about COVID-19. The next one was how we will restart marketing after the corona crisis. The next one was when we'll be able to meet again. And then meeting destinations after COVID-19, L-Day, live event day, that was the next one. And the last one, virtual versus online events versus hybrid events. So as I said, if we want to move on and change the way how we organize events, how we promote destinations, we first of all, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, must understand the meeting planners. So our methods always puts the individual meeting planner person first. This is the way how we are thinking. So when we started with the analysis of the market, of course, almost 95% of all meeting planners were really concerned about the future of meetings industry. In June, the situation was a little bit better, but still more or less all the meeting planners are really concerned. And what is also interesting, there were just few pioneers at the beginning of that phase. So around 40% of meeting planners were pioneers in a way that they started to move to online everything what they are doing. So all others were early followers. That means that they waited at home for a situation to change for better. So basically, as I said, we are talking about survival tactics now, not anymore about such a positive attitude as it was before. So we also asked them about the L-Day, so-called live event day. So how many days until live events are allowed again? So, for example, in Slovenia in June, we were quite optimistic and we said, okay, we will meet again live at the end of August or in the beginning of September 2020. Just to let you know, our first live event in our agency will be at the end of August. It is called Conventa Crossover, and I will explain later on how it will look in reality, in practice. But all over Europe, more optimism is that we will anyhow meet again in autumn. But in a situation like it is now, I don't know if you follow this, but in the Balkans, for example, we have another outbreak. So it's quite strong in Serbia now, also in Croatia, Bosnia, it's coming to Slovenia. So to be honest with you, we don't know really what will happen and when the L day will be. And probably it will be, in my personal opinion, next year. So we also would like to share with you this interesting result. We asked participants, will participants be wearing masks at events for future? And it's quite similar to what happened during September 11. So almost 50% of meeting planners in Europe, and the sample was really big. It was 600 plus meeting planners all over Europe. They believe that we will wear masks. This is something totally unbelievable to me, but we need to get used to it, probably. And the way events are organized will change completely in the future, that's for sure. And wearing masks at events is something that we never thought we would be discussing. So that's why it's not so strange that meeting planners believes that we will wear masks. Another question is, compared to 2019, do you expect that your marketing budget will change in 2020? And of course, almost 68% of meeting planners believes that the budget will decrease. Just few of them are quite optimistic and they believe that it will stay the same. So as I said, as I wrote down, this part of the survey indicates that most companies just want to survive. Everyone wants to decrease their expenses and finding the ways to save money, and always marketing comes on first place. So as I said, first on the list of things to eliminate is usually marketing and advertising. Of course, we can discuss if this is a clever move, but this is the reality. And what I would like to share with you is also that you need to rethink how you pitch for business in future, because there are many options anyhow, even if the marketing budgets decrease. Also, the marketing priorities change a lot. And when we ask meeting planners, what do you think will be your top priority in 2020? It's number one, it's carrying out postponed events, which is of course logical. And another one is improving engagement with clients, with existing clients. And then other things. When we asked the same question last year, the top priority was increase in sales. So priorities have been turned upside down, as you can see from this list. And this is again a proof that we are now dealing with so-called survival tactics. And most companies will be, as I said again, focusing their energy on carrying out postponed events and improving engagement with clients. This is the word cloud which came out from our survey. We asked them, if someone gave you €500,000 to spend on marketing after the crisis, where would you invest? We received a lot of crazy ideas, but for example, content marketing is high on priority list, high-end video advertising, social media, LinkedIn, guerrilla marketing, and so on, virtual fan trips. But to be honest with you, this is a kind of mess. At this moment, it's not super clear what is the best way or best path to take. So people simply don't have a clue how to move on, and I will try to explain later on a little bit more in detail how do we see the situation here in Slovenia from Slovenian point of view or from point of view of European meetings industry, because we are focusing mainly on Europe. So this is really important. I don't know if you know that, but in terms of social psychology, we were quite strong in ex-Yugoslavia. The point is that we were a socialist country, but anyhow, this part of marketing was well developed, and we have quite a lot of expertise on that. And the social psychology which we used before was about promised land. We sell this concept to our meeting planners, to everybody. So come to our promised land, to our meeting destination, which is the best in the world, the most beautiful in the world. And that was the basic principle of selling things. This psychological concept is not there anymore. So we are coming to something you won't believe. 6 months ago, we are doing fear marketing now, which is quite normal in so-called insurance business. And fear is a primal emotion. So fear marketing is now something what we are using on a daily basis. Another social psychological concept is reciprocity. Receiving something creates the social obligation to return it. And loss versus gain is another one. So expecting gains increases safety behavior. So this is quite interesting, and we need to rethink how we actually pitch for business, how we approach clients. As you can see, we have this concern on one side, and we have this new actually way of communication with them. And this is super interesting. And if you do this properly, you can really, have a lot of new opportunities which are usually overlooked. And the next question was, when do you think is the best time to start marketing? We did a lot of webinars, and when we asked colleagues all over Europe, everybody said now. Usually it's 100%, but at our survey, they said 53% of meeting planners said that now is the best time to start with the marketing. But we have a gap here. On one side, decrease in marketing budgets, and the idea that we should start with marketing right now. I will try to explain what can you do even if you decrease your marketing budget. So there are many options. It's not so bad and so dark as it looks like. And definitely, in my personal opinion, is, as I wrote down here, if you go silent during the critical time, chances is that brands and clients will go elsewhere. So anyhow, you need to stay in contact, communicate with your community, and we will see how that turns out in practice. Then we ask colleagues, what are the major challenges after the crisis? And of course, number one is distrust and fear of traveling abroad. This is logical. This is the burning question. Is it safe to travel to certain countries? Will I go to quarantine when I come back home, and so on? That's why this is the new reality. For example, for our event in August, we planned a lot of guests from ex-Yugoslavia, as I said, from Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, and so on. Now, we don't know. We'll see. We are developing our marketing strategy day by day. And this is also the new reality we have. Then, of course, the second one is security problems with transportation. Getting people to travel again is really difficult now. Some companies, some big corporations don't allow people to travel around. Then we have a security problems during events with many people. So we need to activate the trust in live meetings again. Then, of course, cleanliness and sanitation of hotels and restaurants. Then overload of information, which is still there. Then we need to deal with new event formats, with cheaper but more flexible events. Then, of course, lower budgets, price dropping, how to get on the same level as before. If I just share one big concern we have. For example, now in Slovenia, we need for the same number of people, really a big space, which is twice more expensive than it was before. So the whole budget calculation is different now. So we are dealing with a lot of challenges, and of course it's a question of market segmentation. Where should you focus your marketing efforts? Is this the same as it was before, or you need to reshape this? And of course, all this means that we are in the middle of so-called behavioral change. When we rank most important criteria when choosing a destination after COVID-19, again, number one criteria is general and health safety, and then goes comfort, accessibility, value for money, and so on. You won't believe last year when we asked the same question, number one was image of the destination, also comfort, accessibility, attractive natural or cultural location. So this is also turned upside down. So number one criteria now is definitely general and health safety. And that's why, as I said before, we need to also play the game around this fear marketing concept, which is something totally strange. It was quite strange for our industry before. So the next part of the question was live versus online events. I will not comment too deeply this slide, but basically all the meeting planners in Europe still believes that live events are much better than online events. So final mark for live events is 4.02, and for online events 3.02. But here we have a problem. As I said, Houston, we have a problem. So for some of the colleagues, when they try online events, they actually change the mind. And the problem or the gap is also that we are a live industry, that we actually sell live experiences. And what should we promote? And where should we go? How should we move on in near future? And yeah, I totally agree. At live events, you can strengthen your relationship. And with online events, you can influence others. But let me actually ask you a question. What is better? Do you like online events or do you like live events? So that we have a lot of things to rethink. And then, of course, we ask also some other questions just to dig deeper. And if you had voted in your company, what would you choose? They ask. It was a mess. Again, it was 50-50. 48% believes live meetings are better. Yeah? And 45% already believe that hybrid meetings, this is the future. And there is a high percentage of people who believes that 7% of them, that virtual meetings will be the future of the industry. So there are some comments from the research, like face-to-face meetings have a greater impact on communication between people. Another one is nothing can replace a live meeting. We are social beings. We need to socialize. And the last one, which is to me really, really important, and I agree with that, a mix of live and virtual meetings would be great. So the last one is something what I personally believe in. And how high is the possibility of face-to-face meetings and travel being replaced with virtual? Yeah, it's again a question which says a lot about the situation we are in now. 46% believe it's a low possibility, and 45% it's a medium possibility. But it's a big number, almost 90%, which believes that virtual travel, online travel will be replaced. It's 20%, almost 20%, which believes that this is the new future of the meetings industry all over Europe and worldwide. It's up to you to decide. But here we are. So we need to rethink the way how we market, how we do our business. And this is the nice new world we live in. So the point is that definitely you need to restart your marketing and you need to reshape your marketing, because the global pandemic caught most destinations and meeting providers flat-footed and unprepared to carry out crisis communication. This is what I will talk about later on. And as I said, savings from communication budget cuts, they have long-term negative consequences. This is what we all believe in the marketing industry, living from that, not just because we are living from that, but because we know how communication works. And that's why that's what we will focus today. I will try to share some new ideas where you don't need to invest a lot of money. You don't need millions of euros to be really present on the market, but it's a simple step you can do really a lot, and it's a kind of revolution. I will also borrow this quote from Sigmund Freud. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above the water. So basically, the iceberg metaphor, in my opinion, is perfect to rethink what we know about meeting planners' behavior. That's why we try to figure out what is the zeitgeist, what is the situation on the market. And only a small portion of meeting planners' mind is at this moment visible. So we have a lot of work to do in next months to figure out what is going on with the meeting planners. That's why I started with this survey. It's quite a long survey. I can share this with you later on, or ask colleagues to share it with you. But the point is that we need to really learn more about the meeting planners, because the situation is definitely different than it was before. But let me start with the simple steps you can do to move through this crisis, and to wrap up then at the end what is, in my opinion, really good to do. So we are still in the middle of crisis. It's not over yet. We are talking already about second and third and even fourth wave of corona crisis. Nobody knows. So I will not go into theory of conspiracy or whatever, because this is not my job. The situation is like that we will fight with this crisis at least until the end of the year. And we still need to do a crisis communication. And in this difficult phase, it's important that you don't use classical sales messages, because they simply do not work, and that you still have connections with your community. Let me explain a little bit more in detail. So destinations, as I said before, were unprepared for crisis communication. That's my first observation. I will confirm this with one research we did during the crisis. We actually analyzed ICA top 50 European city destinations websites. And you won't believe, half of them didn't communicate at all about COVID, about the situation in the country. The last information that many of them was from the last year. So business as usual, no communication at all. Do you agree that this is okay? I mean, if the website is a kind of shop of your destination, the main entry, the doors to your destinations, then of course you need to communicate something about the situation. So that was not the case with almost 50% of destinations in Europe. And I believe opportunity is that you do positive communication, because, as I said before, I'm repeating again, classical sales messages and simply do not work during the crisis. And the worst thing you can do is that you pretend that there is nothing to be afraid of. I will share my little example with one of our clients. I will not mention the country because maybe you will recognize it. I love the country. It's one of my favorite countries, but it was really safe until last week. It was so-called safest country in the world. It's from our region. So now we probably have idea what I'm talking about. But by night, in just 1 week, they are now full of cases of COVID-19. So they started to promote that they are the safest country in the world. So you cannot do that. You can simply not do that because you don't know how things will turn out. And as I said, honesty and transparency are key that you are credible. And this is super important for meeting planners. So what can you do? You can do a lot of things. First of all, you need to decide what is your main communication channel. Is it a website, social media, LinkedIn profile? I don't know, name it. It doesn't matter. But the problem is that you need to define something, and it's not good to be all over the place. You need to decide. So simple thing you can do, and this is all without any cost. Show a clear message about the situation on your landing page. Create something about it. Communicate. It's quite good if you have somebody who is a kind of spokesman of your destination, of your product, of your hotel. If it is a charismatic person, it's even better. You can even design a custom COVID landing page with all the information from official health institutions and so on. Because if I want to do something now in Russia, I want to know what is going on in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Ekaterinburg, and so on. Yeah? It's the same, vice versa. If I want to sell Slovenia, first of all, I need to explain, guys, we are a country with quite a lot of cases. We don't know, what will come out, but it's allowed, for example, to organize events up to 500 participants. But you need to, take care about the regulations of Slovenian National Health Institute. That means that the distance between people is 1.5 meters, blah, blah, blah. So this is super important. If I want to organize something, and I'm an international, actually, meeting planner, I need to know that details. So this is super important for me. Yeah? And as I said, defined channels, in this case, less is more. What is also useful is that you prepare frequently asked questions, because when you answer all the time to same questions, you can create such a list. Usually questions, for example, here in Slovenia were like, what is the distance between chairs? How many square meters do I need per person to organize the event? What is going on at the registration area? How should I do catering? All these things. And when you systematically, collect all this data, you can then communicate this with your clients. It's super easy. You don't need to invest money at all, but it says a lot about your honesty and professionalism. And carry out, of course, regular direct communication with the major partners you have in destination. If we are talking about ambassadors, this is quite important to actually communicate with them. These are professors or people from sport community, from business community. And if you actually communicate with them, they will actually probably even in these hard times organize something. And in my opinion, this is the first step. So the crisis is not over. We need to take care about crisis communication and be human and personalize the communication. Be human, show that you're a human, because solidarity is something what we forgot about, but it's still important, at least for me, and we need to really think about it. The next phase is that you need to rethink about the marketing, because simply my personal opinion is what we did before simply doesn't work anymore. If you went to IBTM, do you know that IBTM will take place? Or if I say this is not a provocation, but do you believe that IMEX will still exist next year? I believe, personally, but nobody knows. So it's a completely new planet now around us, and you need to restructure the marketing. And here is a phase where you can really innovate. You can reinvent your destination, your product, your hotel, if you want to. And there are many examples how you can do that. Let me wrap up again this phase. So before the crisis, there were quite a lot of burnout symptoms of the meetings industry. What I mean with that? Burnout means that there was too much and too many things going on, and we simply couldn't control it anymore. So a kind of spring cleaning and time to question who we are is really important. In our agency, we are using design thinking for a long time. We are believers of design thinking. We are using this for 15 years, more and more, developing this to different ways, and this is the best way how you can move on. Let me share you one example here from Slovenia. We organized a design thinking workshop based on a think tank of Slovenian meetings industry a week ago, actually, at the end of June. And now the results came out, and it's amazing how intelligent are people in our community, how they want to develop, do something new, reshape the industry. And this new marketing journey is something what you need to do with the best people and the most professional people in your community, in my opinion, because the opportunity is, if I can also share this with you, we are all coming from, let's say, so Eastern Europe, or I call it New Europe, because it sounds a little bit more provocative. So the perception of Eastern Europe is not the best on traditional markets. But now, for the first time in history, nobody has a pole position. We are all on the same starting point. So all the formulas are on the same level, and those who will be agile and fast will, in my opinion, win this situation. So what can you do? The point is that you need to create, in my opinion, a kind of think tank of Russian convention industry. Then, of course, you need to actually do a lot of rethinking, and design thinking workshops is something what I suggest to my clients. Then it's quite important that you completely update your elevator pitch or short presentation and highlight new destination advantages, because the situation is different. It's not the same as it was before. If you just simply think, if you use the same pitch as you use it last year at IBTM, it will simply not work. Then you need to completely upgrade your customer journey, your user experience, let's say so. This is what we are doing at such workshops. And you need to build a storyboard for your destination. This is what I use a lot of words, as you can feel and see, from the movie industry or from advertising industry, because slowly we are coming to this part of industry I will explain at the end. And build a storyboard, as I said, it's quite important because you cannot tell the same stories again about your product. Simply doesn't work. And what I also always suggest is that you carry out ABC testing of the new message you have. That's what we are doing right now for Slovenia. It was a big virtual fam trip organized for Slovenian community, a lot of things. And yeah, definitely it's important that you know what is the reaction of the meeting planners on your offers. And as I said, give meeting planners more choice and more control. I already have some questions from the audience. The one is, do you think hybrid meetings take less money to organize? It's quite an interesting question. If you do this in a simple way, then you can play simply with Zoom or Click Meeting or whatever is available, and you just need a simple camera and so on. But when we are talking a serious hybrid meetings productions, I can absolutely confirm that it's more expensive, much more expensive than a classical meeting. Why? Because it's really close to a TV production. It's something which goes well, it's really similar to a TV production. So that means that you need to have a good streaming solution, a high quality streaming solution, and a TV studio where you mix the picture and you play with all the formats. So we are moving, that's what I wanted to say. We are moving from a classical live meeting industry to a TV production somehow. So in my opinion, the answer to this first question is that it takes really more efforts and money to organize a perfect hybrid meetings. Lena, I hope you agree with that. So I also share this with many of my clients. So it's not, it's more cheaper if I organize a hybrid meetings. It's not at all. So when you calculate all the costs, it's quite a big and demanding project. You can do it on Zoom, it's not a problem, but this is not super professional. For a professional way of hybrid meetings, you need much more. Another question I will try to answer right now is, what should brands do in the sphere of culture to maintain communication with the audience during the pandemic? I mean, this is quite an interesting question. First of all, to wrap up what I said before, you need to stay in contact with your audience if you have an audience. And I will explain this right now after this first phase, what you can do, what is really important in all kind of B2B communication. Right? And then, of course, like we saw in Italy and all over Europe, you can do a lot of things online, a lot of things. But the problem is monetization. So I will come back to this. So you need to stay in contact with the audience you have. And let me go to the next part of presentation, and we will try to answer also more deeply to this question. So the phase 3 is when we know where to go. What is the new customer journey? How to move on? What is the message of our brand? Then we can restart marketing. And of course, it's logical. I mean, there is no doubt. I'm not a Sherlock Holmes to repeat this, but trusting virtual and digital is something what is obvious. I mean, and we need to think about the modern engagement. What is the modern engagement? Let me give you some examples. So, as I said before, based on the quote from Microsoft, the coronavirus has done a lot for digitalization of the meetings industry. Really, in 2 months, 4 years of development, let's say so, to wrap up. So, I think it's time to update your website, tidy up database. New opportunities are right around the corner. And this is so easy to do, but the situation, as I said before, when we analyze the websites, it's not super good. There is no clear idea how to use social media. Why should we use social media at all? There is not enough engagement on social media. And the fastest way, actually, to get clients is through a good database and your own distribution channels. And this is exactly the answer to your question. What should brands do in sphere of culture to maintain communication? My question to you is, do you have a proper database of your audience? Do you communicate properly with them? So excellence on all points of contact with meeting planners, in my opinion, create added value. So what can you do? Yeah? You should collect information about your buyers. I mean, if I ask colleagues all over Europe, you won't believe 60% have a kind of CRM system. But I'm talking about a good and proper database. and CRM system connected to with marketing automation, this is something completely different. And this is the first step of proper digitalization. And the next phase is, and this is again the answer, how should brands do? What should brands do in the sphere of culture? The point is that the digital beast, so digital microcosmos, is hungry for content. And you need to prepare content. If you want to feed the beast, if you want to do a proper social media campaign, you need to feed the beast. If you want to, I don't know, do anything on digital, you need a proper content. So preparing authentic content is something what you can do now. But first of all, you need to know where to go, how to move on. And you also need to adapt all digital points of communication to the new habits of meeting planners. So we have more time. We spend more time on social media. We answer even during the weekends, because before the crisis, during the weekends, for example, the habit of the meeting planners was cut off on Friday evening. Now they're online non-stop. So, it's a completely different way of communication. And of course, you need to boost your social media presence, because this is a booster also for your digital hook you have. And this you can do with different forms of activation we don't use really enough. For example, video is such a strong booster of everything what is digital, but in the meeting industry, we simply don't use it enough. And of course, this is an old school approach too, that we need a proper production, like in all old school advertising times. But for the younger generation, they don't really care. You have a mobile phone, so you can play with the mobile phone easily. You can go live, just like that, and play with that. This is what you need to do. You need to create different forms of activation. And as I said before, the point is activation of local and regional marketing with new sales channels on nearby markets. Let me give you one example. You won't believe it, this is a true story. Vienna is 4 hours by car from Ljubljana, and it goes the same to Bratislava and to Budapest. Do you think that in Slovenia, which is so close to this really important market, we organized anything there? No. Simply, I don't know why. we never went to Budapest to ask meeting planners from Budapest, will you come to Slovenia? It's not far away, And now we totally reshape the marketing. We are thinking about these neighboring places. We are not thinking anymore about UK market, Scandinavia, because they simply cannot fly in. I mean, what can we do? We need to survive. So activation of local and regional marketing is something you need to do. But for example, again, story from our side. If you do something with Germans, it's good that you have a German website. If you want to attract Russian clients, it's good that you communicate in Russian language. So these are all small things you need to do and think. These are logical steps, and it's again not super expensive to do all this properly. So shift to digital and mobile is something what is here, no doubt about it. And this is also the answer to this question: how can we build an effective marketing strategy for a startup during the pandemic? I will try to go deeper later on, but as you can see, absolutely shift to digital and mobile is my answer somehow. Okay, let's go on. In phase 4, we will focus a little bit on events and the new forms of events. So as I said, definitely we are staying people to people. We are still people to people business. And growth in online and decline in offline is fact. I don't know if you agree with that, but probably you feel the same as I feel. For example, we postponed in our agency 7 big events, cancelled many of them. We have still some pending cases in a way that we will do something in November, something next year, and so on, but nobody knows. So basically what we did, we switched to online. But we are thinking in a way that we still need to create contact between people. This is, in our opinion, super important. And situation is that greatest dilemma is establishing trust in live events again. You probably feel the same. There is no trust in live events. And opportunity is, in my opinion, that technology will never satisfy our basic need of socializing. For example, at least you see the picture of Ljubljana at my back, but that's not enough. It's much better if you can go with me and stroll the Ljubljana streets. Or I could come to Moscow and see and enjoy your beautiful city and your beautiful culture. This is something what I cannot do online. So probably the result is that hybrid events are the most probable solution right now. This is what I believe in. This is what we practice on a daily basis. And probably because you asked this before, you agree with that. And what you should do as destination, or if you are a hotel, for example, simply, this is a new lingo, new language you need to learn. Do you know what is streaming? Do you know all these things we are talking now? This is something you should sell to your clients. Then you need to understand what it's all about. Do you know the difference between the hybrid event and online conference? Do you know what is webinar and what is webcast? All these things you need to learn and reshape and put into your actually marketing let's say so, cosmos. And you need to also establish new types of events tailored to the new needs of participants and the new situation. For example, the virtual fam trip of Slovenian Conventional Bureau was really successful. There were around 200 meeting planners there in this virtual meeting, but it will go on. And this is the first time when we have in Slovenia a proper video, for example, about the product of the MICE product of Slovenia. What is also important is that you rethink about the responsible and sustainable event organization with a minimal environmental footprint. Why I'm talking this? Because we spoke a lot about sustainability before, but let's be honest. I will give you my example. I organized one of the biggest trade shows for the New Europe or Eastern Europe, which is called Conventa. A lot of people fly in to my event, and already just flying in, they created such a huge carbon footprint that whatever we did at the event itself, we cannot compensate this mess we created with traveling to our event. So this is the gap we have. At one point, I still believe in live events. I believe in this socializing. But on the other hand, this new brand new world is talking about positive thing, which is sustainability. So this is what we need to we need to bridge the gap, come together and do better events. And of course, even with organizing events, we need to adapt digital points of communication. It's exactly the same as it is for destination, because this is a new cosmos we are building up. It's so-called 360 degrees communication now, and it's not a classical communication anymore, it's a digital communication. And also for events, you need an authentic content marketing strategy. So this is what you need to learn. You need to rethink. And when you sell destination, you need to think about it. When you are doing this as a hotel or a DMC or an agency, you need to think about it, how you will switch from live to digital, because this will stay with us. It will be hybrid. This is my answer to all of you asking me questions about that. So, this is where we are really putting a lot of efforts now. On a daily basis, we are learning new things. And as I said, the easiest way to give you a right path is that you go to your colleagues from movie and TV industry, and they know all about it. We are quite close to that now in our whole business. And make events better, not just safer. This is also important, because now we are thinking a lot about how to create safe events. And so with the proper distance between participants and so on and so on. But think also how we can make events better, so that you come home and it's like a rock concert. When you come from a concert, the music is with you for the next 2 days. You're thinking about the music and everything what happened during the event. And the last phase is the day after. What kind of destinations will win? What kind of destinations will be actually number one after the crisis? And of course, as I said at the beginning, in my opinion, agile and smart destinations will win. And if I go through the situation, social distance has become the new norm, and globalized market has become regionalized overnight. And as I said, destinations will have to reinvent themselves, and the so-called second-tier destinations will start to shine. And in Russia, you have such a great destination scheme. Don't get me wrong, it's not just Moscow and St. Petersburg, but many other cities can actually now be shine after this crisis. The big cities will stay. The business will stay in big cities. But this is the opportunity also, in my opinion, for second-tier destinations. But they need to give something more. And again, if you think about the buyers, focus on that, and do a tailor-made client approach, then you can be really successful. We have some great examples now, right now in this situation, in our small region, let's say so. Montenegro is doing well, and Slovenia is doing well. We try to be agile, fast, move on. This is the way how we try to attract business. And you won't believe, we already have some business. But this is a completely new business. It's a hybrid business. It's not so big as it was before. But anyhow, probably some of the agencies will survive because of that. So you need to develop, in my opinion, a new destination marketing ecosystem, step by step. And a lot of things will supplement real-world experiences. It will go online. You need to have a robust big data system. Let me give you an example of what I have in mind. You all have usually destinations venue finders, which are actually just catalogs of suppliers. You cannot comment suppliers, you cannot book suppliers, you cannot send proper RFP. If you just look to TripAdvisor or Booking.com, we can learn everything about it. It's not something we need to re-establish or redevelop. But for example, this is what I'm talking about. This is a kind of automatization. Here is opportunity to do something totally out of the box. This is what meeting planners expect from you. But we are selling them just the basic information. This is not enough anymore. This brand new world demands more. Then you should develop your own destination media. What I used to say is that, and share magnetic content, as I call it, if you have your own media, then you don't need classical media anymore. So this is the point how you can develop it. I'm not talking about print magazines or whatever. I'm talking about digital media, of course. But database plus own media plus content marketing, this is a perfect match. And of course, automatization is something what is for a long time with us. We don't even think about it, but you need to use it because it's super important. In my opinion, we are using heavily these automatization tools in our agency, and it helps a lot. Also, you can analyze a lot of things because of that. And for example, what we're doing right now for Ljubljana Convention Bureau is automatization of bidding procedure. For example, if you go through the process of bidding, it's actually creating a big book, like for a big sport event, based on content. And you can automatize this. So we will come to a situation that for a bidding in Ljubljana, we will just need 24 hours. Okay? But now it's a process. We need to sit down, have a letter from mayor, collect all the information, and we need 1 month to create a bid, which is absolutely not agile enough. So this is what I'm talking about. And automated marketing, especially, of course, when it comes to lead generation, there are many tools. I will not go into details because you know that very well. And here you can do a revolution. This is my personal opinion. And these are opportunities where you don't need to invest millions of euros. This is just a clever and nice thinking how to go on. And of course, you need to listen to customers and take the agile approach, as I said, several times. And working the plan. What can you do? 7 fields where you can actually, where we believe you should focus right now. And let me start with the first one. First one is that you need to analyze your clients and competition. This is the message which is obvious from my presentation. Ask clients what they think about Russia, about Moscow, about, name it. What are their expectations? Study the competition. We are doing this through the so-called Mytholog benchmark methodology. So we try to put all the destinations in Europe in focus so that they can develop, they can be better at the end of the day. The next phase is digitalized communication, which is obvious from what I said before. As I said, if you have not gone digital yet, it might be too late tomorrow, as I wrote here. So do it now. and connect with experts who can help you in the field. In Russia, you're really good in that, so I don't see this as a problem. But for starter, for example, just analyze the landing page you have, the position on Google, where you see the most traffic is coming, and so on. These are simple things which are normal when you are part of this digital economy, let's say. So my first step in the morning is to go to Google Analytics. This is what I'm doing every morning. Then I check all the clients' websites and what is going on. And this is how I live actually now. I know maybe it sounds boring, but it's not so boring. This is how we can adapt. This is how we can actually move on. So analytics is also part of it, and it's not just let's do a social media campaign. If you don't know where to go and why are you doing a social media campaign? Are you doing this because you would like to boost the digital hook you have? What is the purpose of social media campaign? Or you're doing this just because you heard that this is cool? I mean, this is the brand new communication you need to establish. Then again, I'm repeating myself, get your database in order. This is the easiest thing. Play the game in line with the GDPR regulations. And please never buy databases, because every day I receive at least 5-6 offers that I should buy a database. For example, they are selling me the database for my own event. I know that we have around 10,000, 11,000 people in our database, but they are selling me a database with 80,000 contacts. So it's totally impossible. So this is scam, Those who are selling databases, this is more or less scam. And the only way that you do this properly and according to GDPR is that you build up this from the scratch. Start from the business cards, collect them. You can even digitalize that. And slowly you will have a database which is in line with a proper digital marketing. Then, of course, update content. Structured quality content is something what can be a big capital for destination. So start to create it and put it together. As I said, for a bidding in Ljubljana, we can do this now in 24 hours because we have all the segments of content ready to go, in a raw version. And then we put together, create pictures, and we have a big book, just like that. Before, it was a design process. It was a lot of thinking. And why should we do this? I mean, because we can automatize this. And yeah, definitely here is a lot of opportunities. And let me repeat once again, digital beast. If you organize event, promote destination, promote hotel, especially if you're a DMC, is hungry for a good content. This is the only way how you can boost your presence on the market. The only way. And it will be even more important after this crisis, in my opinion. Then spice up your social media content. It's so boring when I go to social media channels of destinations. I mean, guys, the marketing agencies are doing crazy things on social media. I mean, video is there and crazy videos. My sons are just watching videos, not anymore classical text. So why don't we use video, a proper video, which is engaging and it's funny usually. You can do giveaways, quizzes, many things. But don't just, say we are a nice, beautiful destination. It simply doesn't work anymore. Help to the clients. They have a lot of problems now. Be helpful and useful, and people will love you. This is for sure. And that's why you need to spice up your social media content. As I said, go around, look the best destinations from Ecalist, and go to their social media channels, and you will see it's quite boring. It's so old school. It's for my generation, not for younger generation. And we should do this for younger generation. And the last one, not the last one, it's not the last but least, develop your own media, as I said before. Having your own distribution gives you much more control. So start to building up. Many ideas here you can use to start with. You can have your own newsletter. You can do e-brochures, many things you can do. I mean, just to name a few of them, and find inspiration from good practices and innovate and combine all your knowledge into something which is yours. And that's how you become a kind of a media house at the end of the day. And this is also the reality we have now. And last but not least, rethink how you pitch the business. As I said, pre-crisis offers, they don't create added value anymore. If I ask you, please give me a solution for streaming. I mean, do you have a solution? Can you give me a price right now? I need a video conference system which is the best for 1,000 people. Do you have a solution for that? I mean, these are new questions. So the pitch is completely different. And you need to adapt your services to the needs of buyers, as we are doing with some of our clients. We are also here. Our neighbor is the biggest convention center in Slovenia. It's Ljubljana Exhibition and Convention Center. And now we are trying to do something in that direction because they have a lot of space. And what should you do? What would you do with such a big space? You know, you need to adapt, create something for hybrid meetings, create a positive thing out of it. For example, they figured out, I will share this small idea with you. There are a lot of so-called general assemblies of big companies. Delniška družba, we call it in Slovenian language. They need to meet twice or 3 times a year, and they need to vote for the results and so on. You know what I'm talking about. But now they need really a huge place. Usually it's 5, sometimes 200, 500 people there, you know, and the places they have at their own companies, they're not big enough. So this is opportunity. If you listen to the market, you know, and reshape the things, and then you can really pitch for a new business. And of course, faster teams will have a greater impact. That's my message to you. And what I would also like to share with you is don't really read the newspapers every day. Simply, if you follow the news, you will get nervous. You will feel stressed and afraid. And I think it's better to go out of the news and to focus on your business, follow the basics. We want to see each other, meet each other. It's a people-to-people business. And there are a lot of opportunities, even in this new planet. And we need to keep moving. This is definitely what we need to do. So, as I said, just to a little bit of our PR, we are doing this for a long time, for the last 15 years, but I will not go too deep into this part of the story. We are doing sales and marketing activation. And we want to help you to become my bestseller. This is part of my young team. As you can see, I learn a lot from them. But now it's time also to answer some other questions. The question I received is, Gorazd, how about consumers' new buying behaviors and habits? Should marketers unite and give one general model, or will it be done by every company in their own way? By Bermin. I believe it should be done by every company. This personalization is part of the story. This is the name of the game. So I think that we need to do it in their own way. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you think about it, because this generalization, generic approach is not good. Generic approach gives you then generic text, content, activation, and so on. It becomes boring in 2 months. So you need to play with that, in my opinion. What are the most effective and low budget steps and tools? I will just stop sharing my presentation because it's boring. Now, the question is, what are the most effective and low budget steps and tools that the convention bureau should take in times of crisis to promote the destination? I hope I gave you some ideas in this wrap up at the end. So as I said, clean up the database, create something good on your website, play with the website, and do activation online. You have many opportunities like virtual fam trips and so on. You can be creative on that. I mean, this is what you can do. It's a cleaning phase, let's say so. Yeah, but stay in contact with your clients. This is my message after what I said before. Another one is here. Gorazd, how can we create interesting content to attract clients? Do we need to restructure the business? Yes, we need to restructure the business. This is my personal opinion. That's what I'm doing with my agency. That's what my colleagues are doing on a daily basis. Absolutely, totally agree. Because nobody can survive 1.5 years or 1 year without no income. So if you are on the market, like, for example, my agencies, then you need to rethink and restructure the business. That's the only way. You create a team around you. You build up the team years. And now the only way to actually, the easiest way is that you say, okay, stop. We will stay calm. but you will lose all the intellectual potential you have. Yeah, definitely you need to restructure the business. This is what I totally agree, and this is what I'm doing with my personal with my company. But to create interesting content is really my story, let's say so. Absolutely, you need to actually go out of the box of regular messages people are using, and find stories which are crossover. They are not directly connected to the meetings industry. If you start to do content in a way that you copy something from the web and recreate, it will simply don't work. Stories which are out of the box usually works better than the classical generic messages. So do not copy. This is my personal opinion. Find copywriters who can write something about different planets around the business. So this is usually really useful and good. But this is another topic. We can talk for hours about content marketing. So guys, I think this is all. If there are no more questions, I would like to thank you for being with me, and thank you to Russian Convention Bureau for organizing this webinar. I hope it was useful, and I will ask colleagues to send you my presentation to all of you later on. And I hope to see you soon live in Moscow or in Ljubljana. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.